We look like Christmas, you and me, John.
I think that's right.
DSL can be a great way to speed up your net connection. That's the high-speed internet you get from the phone company. But for people who are sitting there waiting for the installer to come, it can also be very frustrating. What do you need to know to get the best service? Joining us to expose the myths and truths of broadband via the phone company, John Navas of the Navas Group. You do that great DSL speed guide.
Thank
it
you.
is just the king. There it is. That's on the web. And I'll put a link in my show notes to it because everybody who has DSL or cable modem should know about it.
I think so.
You kind of specialize in busting myths. Let's do it right now. Myths about DSL. We're going to start with the myths, then we'll do the truths.
Great.
Number one, DSL is easy to get. That's a myth?
If only that were true. It turns out that perhaps 1/3 of people who want to get DSL simply can't get it.
Because?
They're too far from the D-SLAM. That's the head-end equipment.
The D-SLAM is the connection to the telephone company.
Right, that's the big head-end box.
And how close do you have to be to the D-SLAM?
17,500 feet, but that's over the copper wires. That's not as a crow flies.
That's like 3 miles, but because wires go like this.
They zigzag all over the place, so maybe a mile or two.
Who knows how close I am to the D-SLAM?
Only your telephone company, and even they may not be sure. They actually have to come test your line.
Now, I don't have to go to the phone company to get DSL these days. There are
No.
lots of other people. Should I call my phone company first?
You know, you should call whoever the internet service provider is you want to use. They'll
do the deals with the phone
They'll do all the
company.
deals.
Myth number 2, it's easy to install and it won't interfere with your phone service. That's not true.
That's another one.
Nowadays, phone companies are saying, hey, we don't have to send anybody out. Here's your box.
That's right.
You install it.
In fact, the box usually comes by UPS. You don't even see anybody.
There's no phone company. It comes with a modem.
And you get a lot of pieces in the box.
Cable, a network card. What are these? What are these? All these little doohickeys.
These are phone line microfilters. You got 2 different types here. This is for the wall phone.
So why do you need a microfilter on your phone line?
Well, the DSL signal can interfere with a lot of telephones.
Oh, really?
It causes a high-pitched whine, or even worse.
So this filters out the whine.
That gets rid of the whine. It also protects the DSL modem from the phones. A lot of phones cause
How hard is this stuff to install? Do you need to be a computer whiz?
If you follow the directions and you're careful, you have a fair chance of getting it right, but you also have a fair chance of getting it wrong.
I've heard nightmares about waiting for the installer, however. It might be better to have the UPS guy deliver.
Well, yeah, it's worth taking a try at it, but don't be afraid to call for help.
Well, that sounds familiar. Myth number 3, don't worry about security because, you know, you're a moving target on the net with DSL. Is that?
Not really true. Some providers have unfortunately been telling users that with dynamic IP,
that means your address changes every time you call in.
Changes all the time, that it kind of protects you. It doesn't really.
Right.
It makes you a little bit harder to find, but anybody who really is out there hacking away at the computer networks will still get you.
This is true, especially if consumer operating systems like Macintosh and Windows, they have a lot of holes.
Actually, the Macintosh operating system has been pretty secure. It's Windows.
Really? It's Windows?
To be the most vulnerable.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Myth number 4, the upstream cap doesn't affect downloading. Now let's talk about what that upstream cap is. What is an upstream cap?
A lot of people don't even know about it. Most consumer-grade high-speed connections, broadband, have the upstream, the data you sent out, set to a much lower speed than downstream.
Well, that makes sense because I'm downloading all these big web pages and files and stuff, and I'm not uploading a lot. I'm just saying surfing to a different page.
You're sending answers back or requests out.
So that makes sense that they would cap it.
It does.
You say it affects download speeds?
Actually, it does, and a lot of people don't realize that. It's built into the TCP protocol. And what happens is if you're sending enough data to saturate the uplink, let's say you're uploading some photos to
or you're using Napster, and lots of people are downloading music from your hard drive.
Napster can really do it. What happens in it clogs the upstream, so now the downstream slows down to about the same speed as your upstream, and it's about a 80 to 90% drop in speed.
That's interesting. So if you upload fully, you're not going to be able to download very well, so make sure you don't use up that capped.
Just be aware that when you're uploading a lot, your download's going to get killed.
Myth 5, cable is worse because it's shared, and DSL doesn't have that shared problem. In fact, we have ads here in the California area from our local DSL provider, WebHog, saying people are fighting their neighbors because they have cable modems and they're using too much bandwidth. DSL doesn't have that problem, right?
Well, it doesn't suffer from that exact problem, but it's still a shared system. Once you get past that head-end box, either the DSLAM or the CMTS in the case of cable modems, it's shared all the way out to the internet and beyond.
That's true of any internet service provider. You're sharing their connection to the net.
You bet.
And that's always going to be a bottleneck.
Right. It can either be good or it can be bad, and that depends upon how good or
How
bad
do I
the
find
service
out?
provider. The best way to do it is to talk to people who are already using the service provider that you're planning on subscribing
Ask them
to.
if they're getting good performance.
Ask them if it's good.
All right, let's talk about some truths. It is a bargain, isn't it?
You bet it is. Typically, the price is between $40 and $80 a month, usually more like $40 or $50, and companies really aren't making money at those price levels.
They're starting to raise prices, so sign up now and get a long-term deal. Truth two, security is neither difficult nor expensive. It's easy to protect yourself as long as you make the effort.
You bet. It really is. In fact, there are two great free programs on the Internet. I recommend them, the Tiny Firewall and Zone Alarm.
Now, we've been recommending Zone Alarm, but you say Tiny's a little bit better?
I like Tiny because it's certified by an independent certification agency.
It's free, too.
And it's also free.
I'm going to try it. I never heard of it. Tiny.
A little extra security.
All right. Truth number three is PP. There's the Tiny software, by the way, if you want to download it, tinysoftware.com. Most DSL uses PPPoE, and Truth 3 says it can work well. See, I hate PPPoE because I got a little dial. It's like dialing in. I got away from the modem, and now I got to dial out, and there's a little program running. There's a better way.
It's pretty bad. You can't get rid of the PPPoE if you're on a given provider,
right?
But you can make it work a lot better. You can substitute a better piece of software for whatever your provider gave you. The best thing out there is called RAS PPPoE.
RAS PPPoE.
It's free for individual use, and it works much better.
We have a link in your article that's on our webpage.
We do indeed.
That's great to know.
One great way to go. Another great way to go. Well,
this is the web share?
Right. This is our kit here. That's the Westel wire speed modem. And you can, for $50, buy an upgrade from Westel directly that will put the PPPoE in the modem, which makes it much more reliable.
You don't have to deal with it.
You don't have to deal with it.
This is the modem that many people get with their kits.
You bet.
Real quickly, Truth 4, sharing a DSL connection is easy. It is, isn't it? With these kinds of things, this is like a broadband router?
Well, yeah. We first talked about the Westel and the wire speed, the web share. This is the alternative if you don't have a Westel. That's what's called a Soho router.
Right.
This is a sonic wall.
We've seen Linksys, Netgear, a lot of
Linksys,
companies.
D-Link, exactly. Those are all good. And these provide the basic facility for sharing. Now, you also need a way to connect up your computers.
And wireless is also
two great ways. Wireless is one, and home phone line networking is another.
The final truth, and this I would agree with you, broadband, any high-speed internet, is a fundamental paradigm shift. It changes the way you relate to the internet, doesn't it?
It really does. There are things you can do with broadband that you just are impractical over dial-up.
Get it if you can afford it, and if it's available. DSL or cable, it's worth it.
Yeah, you'll never go back.
Well, we've got a whole lot more to say, but that's all available on our website. If you want to learn more about speeding up your web connection, the king has got it all. It's at the website, techtv.com/call for help. And John Navas, thank you for the great work you've done all along.
Thank you, Leo. I really appreciate it.
Really making this stuff accessible for everybody. You're the greatest.